You see, one of the biggest obstacles to becoming the best version of yourself is this constant, unconscious habit we've all picked up comparing ourselves to other people. It's sneaky. It happens so easily. You look to the left, look to the right, and before you know it, you've lost sight of your own path. You've stepped off your track trying to run someone else's race. And let me tell you right now, the moment you start measuring your value based on someone else's progress, you've already started to give away your power. Now, here's the crazy part. Most of the time, we're comparing ourselves to people we don't even really know. We're comparing our behind the scenes to their highlight reel. We're judging our self-worth based on the image someone else has carefully curated for the world to see. And then we wonder why we feel behind, why we feel like we're not good enough, like we're not doing enough. But that's not truth, it's illusion. That's not growth, it's distraction. See, when you're constantly looking outward, you're not looking inward. And that's where the real work happens. That's where transformation begins. You can't master what you won't confront, and you can't confront yourself if you're always fixated on someone else. Every second you spend watching someone else win is a second you're not investing in your own game. That's energy lost. That's progress delayed. And here's what makes it even more dangerous. Comparison doesn't just steal your joy, it also distorts your perception. It tricks you into thinking that success has one look, one timeline, one formula. But that's a lie. Your success is your success. Your purpose is unique. Your calling is custom designed. Trying to duplicate someone else's life is like taking a map to their destination and expecting it to get you to yours. It doesn't work like that. You were built for something different. You were built for something bigger, but only if you focus on it. Let me break this down for you real simple. The seed doesn't compete with the tree. The seed grows into the tree, but it only grows when it's rooted, when it's nourished, when it's focused on becoming what it was meant to become. And that's you. You've got seed potential in you, but you can't activate it while staring at someone else's branches. You got to look within. You got to cultivate. You got to commit to the process. You got to stop measuring your worth by somebody else's results. And don't get it twisted. This isn't about being passive. This isn't about ignoring the world or pretending other people don't exist. This is about discipline. This is about self-respect. This is about reclaiming your attention from distractions that don't serve your destiny. When you focus on yourself, your goals, your mindset, your actions, you create momentum. You build character. You start to operate from a place of clarity and confidence because you're no longer chasing shadows. You're walking in purpose. And I get it, it's hard. It's hard when you see someone else winning and you feel like you're stuck. It's hard when you're putting in the work, staying consistent, doing everything right, and someone else seems to get it overnight. But don't be fooled. You don't know their journey. You don't know the price they paid. And even if they did get it fast, it's not about how fast you get it. It's about how strong you build it, because what you rush, you risk. And what you build slow, you build solid. Focus on solid. You want success. Stop scrolling and start studying yourself. You want mastery? Stop watching and start working. You want peace. Stop comparing and start connecting to your values, to your vision, to your voice. The moment you shift your energy inward, you'll realize you already have what you need. You just haven't been watering it. And if no one's told you this today, let me be the first. You are not behind. You're just distracted. And the moment you let go of comparison, you make room for elevation. That's when the real work begins. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants freedom. Everybody wants peace of mind. But very few people are willing to accept this truth. Right here, you are the only thing you can truly control. Not the economy, not your boss, not your family, not your friends, not even the people who love you the most. You can't control them, but you can control you. Your thoughts, your decisions, your actions, your habits. That's where your power lies. That's where your destiny is shaped. And until you take full ownership of that, you will keep feeling like life is happening to you instead of realizing life is responding to you. See, too many people are busy trying to manage everything outside of them. They want people to act right, speak right, support them, show up on time, believe in their dreams. But let me ask you, what are you doing with your time? What are you doing with your attention? What are you doing with your mindset, your money, your health, your gifts? Because if you're not controlling that, you're not in control at all. We all want to feel empowered. We want to feel like we're moving forward. But the only way you gain momentum is when you take responsibility. You can't master what you keep blaming. You can't grow what you won't own. And you can't win if you keep waiting for someone else to change so you can start. You don't need permission to become excellent. You need a decision. One decision is show up for yourself every single day, no matter what anybody else does. And I'm not talking about perfection. I'm talking about alignment. I'm talking about waking up and saying, today, I choose to take charge of my attitude. I choose to take charge of my effort. I choose to take charge of my discipline. Because if you don't choose it, your environment will choose it for you. And most people's environments are not set up for success. They're set up for comfort, for distraction, for delay. That's why you've got to be intentional. You've got to say, I'm going to think on purpose. I'm going to act on purpose. I'm going to move on purpose. You've got to start seeing your life like a garden. Your mind, that's the soil. Your thoughts, that's the seed. Your actions, that's the water. And your habits, that's the sunlight. If you neglect it, weeds will grow. If you feed it, fruit will grow. But you can't blame anybody else for what shows up in your harvest. The harvest is always the result of what you planted and how consistent you were intending it. Every day you've got the power to choose chaos or clarity, comfort or growth, reaction or response. Now here's the real truth that separates people who stay stuck from people who rise. The people who rise don't just control their behavior, they control their beliefs. They don't just act different, they think different. They understand that how you see yourself is how you show up. If you see yourself as a victim, you'll always look for someone to blame. If you see yourself as the source, the creator, the one responsible for your outcomes, now you're unstoppable. You're not waiting, you're building. And once you start building, once you start stepping into that responsibility and refusing to hand your power over to excuses, your world changes. You stop reacting to people who don't matter. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand. You stop shrinking because you realize you're the architect, you're the driver. You're the one with the pen in your hand writing the next chapter. So here's the question. What are you feeding your mind? What are you practicing in private? What are you reinforcing in your habits? Because that's what's determining your results, not what somebody else is doing. And the good news, you get to change that. You can shift the whole trajectory of your life by deciding to stop giving your power away to what you can't control and start mastering what you can. It might not be glamorous at first. It might not be loud. It might not come with applause. But it's real. It's yours. And every day you do the work, every time you choose discipline over distraction, every time you choose commitment over comfort, you're becoming more powerful, more focused, more you. That's the beginning of self-mastery. You want to know why some people never crack under pressure. Why some people stay steady no matter what life throws their way. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not because they had it easier than you. It's because they built something inside of themselves that can't be shaken. They've built a foundation. And I'm telling you right now, if you want real, lasting success, not just a temporary win, but a life you're proud of, you've got to build that same foundation within yourself. Because when the storms come, and they will come, it's not your goals, your followers, your bank account, or your titles that will keep you grounded. It's your foundation. It's who you've become when no one's watching. You've got to stop chasing surface level wins and start building core level strength. That starts with your values. What do you stand for? What do you believe in? What matters to you regardless of who's around? If you don't know that, you're always going to be swayed by the noise, by the trends, by other people's expectations. But when you lock into your values, your principles, you become unshakable. You stop trying to fit in and you start standing out. Because now you're moving with conviction, you're moving with purpose. You're not living to impress, you're living to express who you really are. And when you've got that internal foundation, guess what? Your routines change. Your discipline shifts. You stop needing motivation because you've built momentum. You're not waking up hoping you feel like doing the work, you do the work because it's who you are now. See, when you're rooted in your values, your habits align with your vision. You don't just say you want growth, you prove it in how you move, how you think, how you prepare. You build a rhythm, a system that reinforces who you're becoming. And every day you show up for yourself, you add another brick to that foundation. Not for the world to see, not for the likes, but for your own integrity. Now let's talk about emotional control, because if your emotions run your life, your results will always be inconsistent. The stronger your foundation, the more emotional resilience you have. You're not reactive. You're not spiraling every time something goes wrong. You learn how to sit with discomfort without letting it control you. You learn how to respond with wisdom, not react with fear. That's self-mastery. That's power. You don't just know who you are, you live it, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. But here's the part most people miss. You've got to be intentional about this. It doesn't happen by accident. Nobody wakes up with a strong inner foundation just because they want one. You build it brick by brick, decision by decision. You build it when you hold your word, even when it's inconvenient. You build it when you keep your standards high, even when nobody's watching. You build it when you choose growth over comfort, truth over ego, and discipline over drama. That's the deep work. That's the real work. And most people skip it because it doesn't give them quick results. But you're not here for fast. You're here for forever. So ask yourself, are you building something that will last? Or are you decorating a house with no foundation, hoping it doesn't collapse the next time life hits hard? Because it's not about how good things are when everything's going your way. It's about how solid you stay when they're not. That's the test. And when your foundation is strong, you don't panic, you pivot. You don't break, you bend. You don't fall apart, you adapt, you adjust. and you keep moving forward. And let me be real with you, it's not always fun. It's not always exciting, but it's always worth it. Because when you built something strong inside, no one can take that from you. Not a job loss, not a breakup, not failure, not rejection. That's freedom. That's the kind of success that no one sees coming, but everyone respects when it shows up. So if you want the kind of success that lasts, the kind of peace that's not dependent on your circumstances, the kind of confidence that doesn't need applause, stop focusing on what's outside and start building what's inside. Build it solid, build it deep, build it to last. Because what you build in silence will speak volumes when the time is right. Now let's talk about one of the fastest ways to multiply your reach, your impact, and your income without spending a single dime on ads. And this one right here, it's a game changer if you're willing to shift how you think. Because most people are out here trying to build everything by themselves. They're grinding, they're hustling, they're putting in all the hours, and they're wondering why it still feels so slow. But if you really want to build an 8-figure business with no ad spend, you've got to learn how to leverage strategic collaborations. Let me tell you something I've learned after watching countless businesses explode seemingly overnight. It wasn't because they suddenly figured out the perfect funnel or cracked some secret algorithm. It was because they got in the right rooms. They connected with the right people. They didn't try to do it all on their own. They built bridges instead of silos. And when you start collaborating with people who already have the trust of your ideal audience, you tap into something money simply can't buy: borrowed credibility. Borrowed credibility is powerful because it shortcuts the trust curve. See, if someone's been following another expert or influencer for months, maybe even years, and that expert says, hey, you need to check out this person, they're the real deal, guess what? You just inherited all that trust in one moment. No ads, no pitch. Just trust transferred through relationship. That's influence. And influence is currency, but collaboration only works when you're clear on your value. You can't just reach out to someone and say, let's collab. You've got to come with clarity. Here's what I bring, here's how I serve, and here's how we can create something that blesses both our audiences. Whether it's a joint venture, a workshop, a live stream, a bundle, a podcast interview, or a co-branded program, the best collaborations are mutually beneficial. And when you approach it with that mindset, when it's not just about getting something, but about giving something doors open that no ad budget could ever buy you. Let me break it down even more. If you've got a service and someone else has a platform, partner with them. If you've got an audience and someone else has a complimentary offer, promote each other. If you've got a room, invite someone to speak in it. The win isn't always in money, it's in momentum. Because every time you collaborate, you get in front of people who would have taken you months, even years, to reach on your own. And let's be real, most people aren't collaborating because they're afraid someone else will outshine them. Afraid there's not enough to go around, but that kind of scarcity mindset is the very thing that's keeping their business small. You've got to believe there's more than enough success to go around. That's when you start moving in abundance. That's when you stop seeing others as competition and start seeing them as conduits. And when you bless others, you can't help but be blessed in return. Some of the most successful launches I've ever seen weren't powered by ads, they were powered by relationships. One person introduced another. One platform featured another voice. One podcast brought in one guest. And that one moment led to dozens, sometimes hundreds of leads. But here's the key they delivered when they got the opportunity. They didn't just show up, they showed out, because collaboration opens the door, but excellence keeps you in the room. Now, don't get it twisted. This isn't about chasing every opportunity. It's about alignment. Strategic collaboration means you're intentional about who you partner with. Their values align. Their audience aligns. Their mission aligns. And when you lock arms with people who are running in the same direction, your reach multiplies effortlessly. You're not pushing uphill, you're flowing in favor. And guess what? You can start this today. You don't need a massive following to collaborate. You just need value. If you've got a story, a result, a skill set, go serve someone else's audience. Look around at who's already in your network. Who could you interview? Who could you highlight? Who could you lift up in a way that also brings visibility to you? Sometimes the fastest way up is not to climb harder, but to lift someone else. You don't have to go viral to be valuable. You don't have to pay for attention when you can earn it through connection. When you collaborate strategically, you tap into audiences that already exist, communities that already trust, and platforms that are already built. And all you have to do is show up and serve with excellence. Collaboration creates acceleration. Now let's lean into something that separates the people who make money from the people who multiply money. Because building an 8-figure business without spending money on ads, that's not just about hustle. That's not just about content. It's about understanding offers and how to structure them in a way that creates exponential income without exponential effort. You need to build an irresistible value ladder that guides your customers on a transformational journey. Most entrepreneurs out here are leaving money on the table They've got a great product, maybe a solid service, but it's a one and done transaction. There's no pathway, no elevation, no ascension. And here's what I want you to understand. You're not just selling a product, you're creating a journey. When someone says yes to your lowest offer, that's not the end of the sale. That's the beginning of the relationship. Your value ladder is your business model in motion. It's the structure that allows one client to become 2 clients, then 4, then 10 without you chasing new leads. And guess what? When that ladder is built the right way, it does the marketing for you. It turns your buyers into believers and your believers into ambassadors. That's when your business stops being a grind and starts growing organically, because the ladder does the lifting. Now let me break this down so it's crystal clear. The first level of your ladder should be a no-brainer. Something with massive value and low friction. It's not about making a fortune here, it's about getting people to say yes and take a step toward you. When that first experience over-delivers, they'll want the next level, not because you convince them, but because you change them. And when someone's life changes, they naturally lean in for more. From there, each level of your ladder should go deeper, offer more access, more results, and more transformation. You might start with a digital product or a workshop, then move into group coaching, then into high-ticket one-on-one, then into licensing or partnership opportunities. And listen, every level doesn't need to be complex, but it does need to be clear. Because confused people don't buy and overwhelmed clients don't ascend. Your job is to make the next step obvious. Here's the beautiful thing. You can build this ladder without a big team, without paid traffic, and without needing to scale overnight. You start where you are, with what you have, and you build one level at a time. As you serve more people and get clearer on what they need, your ladder will naturally evolve. You'll start to see the patterns, what offers convert best, what clients stay longest, what services bring the highest transformation, and you use that insight to refine and optimize. And let me tell you something most people miss. Your ladder isn't just about price. It's about value. If someone sees the value, they'll find the money. Your job is to position the offer in a way that makes the transformation feel inevitable. That means painting the picture, showing them the before and after, helping them see the cost of not moving forward. Because when someone believes in the result, the price becomes secondary. This is how you scale without spending a dime on ads. You maximize the relationship you already have with the people you're already reaching. You stop trying to find new people and start serving your current audience at a deeper level. That's where the real money is. That's where loyalty is built. And that's where legacy starts forming. Now, I know some people think, well, won't people get tired of buying from me? No, not if you keep serving. Not if each offer genuinely solves the next layer of their problem. When your offers are built to guide, to elevate, and to transform, people will actually want to keep going. They'll be grateful you didn't stop at the first sale. And here's the kicker, they'll bring others with them. Because people love to share transformation. This is the quiet power of a well-built value ladder. It turns one offer into a lifetime relationship. It gives your business structure. It gives your clients clarity. And it gives you the freedom to grow without being stuck on the content treadmill or relying on algorithm gods. You don't need 1 million followers. You need a clear pathway. You need a ladder that leads people from where they are to where they want to be with you as the guide. And when you build that, when you refine that, when you live that, you create something no algorithm can cancel and no ad budget can beat. When your offer ascends, so does your income. Now let's talk about the final key that ties all of this together, the secret that makes everything else work without ever needing to run a single ad. Because you can have a powerful offer, a strong community, the perfect value ladder, even amazing collaborations, but if you don't master this part right here, you'll always be chasing, always grinding, always wondering why things aren't moving faster. What I'm talking about is mastering high leverage communication. Communication is not about talking, it's about connecting. It's about transferring belief, moving people emotionally, and guiding them to a decision that changes their life. The most successful entrepreneurs are not the ones with the fanciest websites or the biggest followings. They're the ones who know how to speak to transformation. They know how to tell stories that stick. They know how to explain value in a way that's impossible to ignore. They know how to communicate in a way that compels people to act. Now, here's the mistake most people make. They communicate to inform, not to transform. They're giving data. They're explaining features. They're listing benefits. But that's not what moves people. What moves people is emotion. What moves people is identity. When someone hears your message and thinks, that's me, they're talking to me, they get me, that's when the sale is already done before you ever drop a link. You've got to understand something. People don't buy products. People buy stories. They buy belief. They buy the version of themselves they hope to become. So your job as the communicator is not just to sell an offer, it's to cast a vision a vision of what's possible if they take the leap. And that means learning how to speak with authority, authenticity, and alignment. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real, because real is what resonates. When I say high leverage communication, I'm talking about the ability to speak once and sell forever. I'm talking about creating a message that continues to work while you sleep. That could be a webinar, a keynote, a training, a podcast episode, a powerful piece of content, but whatever form it takes. The key is that it carries your voice, your value, and your conviction with it. It scales your presence without you having to be in the room. This is how you scale without ads. Because when your message is clear, when your story is compelling, and when your audience feels seen, you don't need to convince people. You simply need to communicate with purpose. And when you do that, something powerful happens. Your audience starts sharing you. You become the person they forward to their friends. You become the voice they quote. You become the authority they trust. And now, instead of chasing customers, your customers are chasing you. Let's make it practical. Every platform, every piece of content, every conversation should be driven by clarity. You need to know exactly who you're talking to, what they're struggling with, and what life looks like on the other side of your offer. If you can describe their problem better than they can, they'll automatically believe you have the solution. That's influence. And that's how you turn words into wealth. But listen, this doesn't mean you have to sound like anybody else. Your voice, your background, your story, that's what makes your communication powerful. You don't need to imitate, you need to activate. Activate the part of you that's already persuasive, already passionate, already full of purpose. That's what connects. That's what converts. That's what lasts. The most powerful message you'll ever deliver is the one that comes from your own transformation. When you speak from experience, people lean in. When you share your failures, people relate. When you speak your truth, people trust. And trust is the currency that drives every high-ticket sale, every life-changing program, every next-level client. Trust comes from alignment, and alignment starts with how you communicate. So here's what I want you to remember. Don't just speak to sell. Speak to serve. Speak to shift. Speak to free people. Because when your words carry purpose, your platform will carry power. You won't need ads when you've got impact. You won't need funnels when you've got flow. And you won't need gimmicks when you've got clarity. When you master your message, you never have to chase money again, because your words will always make room for you.